Do you ever wish you could work over some of your little sketches, but you find that adding paint on top makes them harsh and you lose the effect of the background that you previously made? Well, there is a way to work on top of your original background without adding paint on if you don't want to. It's called lifting out, and we'll have a look at that now. I'm Jackie Smurden, this is Dunnock Studio. Welcome, and I'd like to share some tips and tricks with you and help you get painting, enjoying yourself and creating things that are from you, not from anybody else. So let's get into it. Here's a lovely flat wash that you've created whilst you're doing some different swatches and playing around with different things and different colours. And you think, oh, I know, I'm going to add something onto it and make it beautiful and make a fabulous painting. How often do you do that and wish you hadn't, because your lovely soft painting in the background becomes something harsh and not particularly enjoyable to look at? Or here's one alternative. Instead of putting things on your painting, how about taking things off? And this is called lift out. So for today I'm going to be using a lift out brush. This one is a branded one by Matthew Palmer from the SAA, but any brush that's got a stiff nylon bristle will do the job quite nicely. And also things like a cotton bud can do the job as well. So all I'm going to do is put some clean water on my cotton bud and squeeze out, and then I'm just going to work on this area here very gently. As soon as I've lifted the colour that I want, then I'll just dab it with a piece of towel. So I would probably squeeze my cotton bud out in the water because obviously it's got paint on it now, rather than using a separate cotton bud for every thing you lift out. Just clean it. It's going to last for quite a few. There we go. So I'm just doing random blobs here. I could be thinking along the lines of this could be flowers, but it could be anything you like. So just because the cotton bud is one size doesn't mean so I can't go bigger. Just make the shape that I'm lifting out a bit bigger, like so. Then maybe a couple where it's darker. If they've got some dark areas on your paint, on your previous underpainting, that's where you'll get the best contrast. So if you have got some dark areas, just aim at those first. So that's the cotton bud. Now I'm going to try a brush, which is again this lift out brush. So again, I'm just squeezing the water out of the brush. I'm not drying it on the towel. And now let's see if I can lift out a flower shape with a brush. So just working with the bristles onto the piece of paper. Got to be gentle, because you overdo this, you could start messing with the surface of your paper. Just take out a couple more. You can see how easy this is. I will warn you that red colours are not quite so easy to lift, but then you get a nice hint of the red left behind, and the whole point of this exercise is you're leaving behind ghost shapes. It's not a harsh shape. So for instance, if you'd have masked these out with masking fluid, you would end up with a very harsh line. This is a very soft line, as you can see. So there we go, we've got some vague fluffy things. They could be cotton, couldn't they? They could be all sorts of things. So if you wanted to try and suggest they had a stem, you can use a similar style with this same brush, but just drag a line this time, making sure you keep your brush clean in between, squeezing it out. You do not have to ensure that these lines match the flower. They can just suggest that they're going that way. It doesn't matter if they don't go exactly there, because then you're making suggestion of something happening in your picture that's beyond what you're painting. Now that one's a bit thick and not particularly nice, but that's fine. Let's pop a couple over here. Dab them out. So obviously the finer the brush, the finer the lines will be. It's still a lot softer than putting the lines on with paint. So let's pull out right from that flower all the way down, like so. Sometimes you might need to go over more than once. There we go. You don't have to do lines to all of them, just in the areas you'd like. You could use the same idea to lift out something in the sky. So that could be, let's say, the obvious thing that's in the sky. A little bird. There we go, one bird. You could lift out clouds. So for that one, I shall go up to a larger brush, squeeze it out. Using the corner of my brush, let's just see how effective this would be. This paint is all very, very dry. Turn the brush as I go so I don't end up just pushing the same amount of paint into the paper. It's not as soft as if you were doing this when the painting was still damp, but you can get a nice effect of clouds. Just keep them fairly loose. Keep dabbing as you go. There we go. So we've got a cloud, got a little mini bird. So it's all very, very soft, gentle, and not really shouting. It's quite nice if you want to embellish your painting softly. Try lift out. It's really, really good for trees and other such things, as well as flower stems. So here's a 2-colour wash that's nice and dry. So I've got the big lift out brush this time. As I say, you do not need this exact brush, just any stiff nylon brush will do. Squeeze out the bristles. Now let's see if I can suggest some trees. So I don't know how this is going to work. I'm going to follow up the edge of what I think might be a tree. Just following that line here. Grab my trusty kitchen roll. And let's go a little bit wider into that. Now going over different colours here, we know that blue lifts quite well. So far you can see that the yellow isn't quite as forgiving. This is why it's good to experiment. It's also quite therapeutic doing this. So lift up a little bit on that side there. Sometimes you get a little harsh line like there, you can just see. Tapping it afterwards with your towel will help to move it. Sometimes that can be useful in adding some sort of an edge. If you're trying to introduce the tree trunk, you might quite like to leave that edge. So I'm just working my way up this side. Dab, dab, see if it comes out. Maybe one here. Sometimes it takes more than one go to even see where you've been. Pop that towel on. Roll again. Put that towel on. If you've got lots of sketches, just dig them out. Have a play with lifting out. Lift out with anything you can think of. Cotton wool, brushes, anything, sponges. Have a little play. Try different lines, different techniques. Let's try, instead of lifting out clouds, let's just assume we're lifting out foliage now. Don't want to overdo it because there's some nice texture in these colours at the top anyway. But we could just add a little bit more in there, some highlights. They might turn into something else now. Oh yes, they're probably no longer trees. Can bring the trees back quite easily. Just by doing a little bit of negative painting. So whilst I've got you here, negative painting simply means painting the spaces between things. So I'm not going to put any new colours on this painting. I'm just going to use what's already here. So if that's one side of my tree, then let's just pop in some lines here to suggest this is a foreground. Then we're going to follow that tree up. We might even have a branch come out here. Again, this is one of those little exercises that you'll start thinking, oh gosh, which way do I go now? How does that go? It's good fun, and does make your brain work harder. It's quite a nice thing to do. So assuming that this is the tree that I started to lift out here, just got to whiz along here a little bit because this is dried already. It's quite warm in the studio today. Follow down this edge here that I created earlier. So this is a tree going up here, so let's pull that in here. Just a little bit more. Of course, you can turn your painting round. You don't have to stay with it in one direction. Just move it to where you need to move it to. Just pop in and out of this area. Follow this part of the tree that we painted or lifted out earlier. Assume that there's another one here. Okay. Fill that all in. It's drying quite quickly. So now you can see there is a tree taking shape. It's not an accurate tree by any means. This is not a tree painting. This is a painting about techniques. So you can pop that a little bit further down to that branch there. It's coming out there. If you get an edge like I've got at the top, which you don't want, just soften that edge away into the background. A little dab as well if you need to. How's it looking? Okay. Last few little touches so you get the idea. We've got that one here, so if we think this is a tree here, this is that one coming over there, then that needs to have the background there. This one could be the same. I could do this for hours. Some of you could do this for hours, some of you have probably moved on as soon as you realise what I was doing, and that's fine. You have to do what you like in art, not what you think you should be doing. There we go. Again, soften that away there and there. Maybe this one should just be a little bit featured. Whoops, running out of paint right there. Okay, pop that in there. That's it. Leave that one there. And we've got a tree here. This one here could be a, oh, there is two trees. There we go, it's just put itself in. It's funny how you suddenly see something you didn't see before. So that's a tree as well. And then this tree is going up this side. Last little squash of blue I've got left in my palette. Let's squeeze out every last drop we've got left. So that one there is now in the wrong place because there's a tree going up behind it. And you might see something completely different to what I can see here. And that's great, is you follow what you see. So just take that out because there's a bit too much in there. So you can see here that this one where I painted over has now become another tree. So in order for that to work, I need to just work away at lifting out some of that to suggest that that tree carries on up. It's like painting in reverse, really. Dab away. We go back to the original and start just lifting out some again. The old cotton buds for where we've gone a bit mad, the background. So layering it up really. I like the cotton bud because it gives you the effect of dappled light, which you can see quite well here. Getting to the point where we've probably done enough, so I'm just going to lift out a couple in that area as well, because although that's not in the canopy, you're going to see sparkles of light, aren't you, in the woodlands or wherever this might be, this magical place of that we've no idea where or what it is. It just came out of us playing with paint. Okay, you could be finicky and picky and think, well, that's not quite right there, it needs to go in a bit more, and then you take in that challenge of whether or not you've left it too late. This one was a bit strong as well, so guess what we're going to do with that one? Lift it out. There we go. Okay, that'll do. So we did lift outs with cotton buds and with any stiff nylon brush. Make sure you squeeze the water out after each use and then dab dry behind as you go. And then because we thought there might be something in here, we did some negative painting using the same colours that were on the original painting and created a little mini woodland scene. So pick up some of your swatches and have a play with them. See if you can turn them into a little mini painting that you can then pop on a card or just keep. So it gives you inspiration for a bigger painting or something a bit more serious. So lifting out, how did you find it? You get a nice soft ethereal look to the painting you originally had, where you've not added paint on, you've taken it off. Lifting out can be used in all sorts of ways, creating lights on hills, mountains, etc. Tree canopy sparkles, really nice for that sort of thing. I went a bit further with that one, we did negative painting as well. But the whole purpose of today was to lift out. So try lifting paint off of your paintings rather than adding it on and see how that works for you. You might enjoy it, you might find you do a lot more of it. If you struggle, keep practicing, you'll get better, I promise. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon on the next video. Happy painting, bye for now.